We're doing the show again?
Yeah, again.
Wow. Seemed like we just did the show. Didn't we
Been a
just
whole
do the
day
show?
already.
I feel like I've been recycled into it.
That light feed's not blurry like that, is it, Brendan?
It is not.
Okay.
Anyway,
Very
tonight.
old TV.
Okay. His voices in my head are really getting to me now.
What are they telling you to do?
Vote again.
Vote again?
Vote again and again.
Yeah. We're going to have to do that in Georgia. I think they're doing a recall, I think.
Recall? They can't
Not
do
a recall. I think they're doing a
Recount.
special. They're doing a hand recount, but they also have a series of runoff elections. That's what I'm looking runoff.
Oh, for Senate.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
December.
So
Yeah, that'll be fun. Anyway, you're welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. This is Mr. Joshua of Solomon. I'm Representative Gary Harper, or Gary as some people call me.
Gary, scary
Gary, right.
Yep.
Tony Hook is our guest tonight and is going to talk about why I can't buy ammo.
Yeah.
Or you could buy it at our store. We still have some left.
You have some left.
We do have some left.
So we're used to when we have, bakers and cooks and chefs come in, they usually come in with samples
We don't
of
have,
things.
you don't have
and I'm
bakers.
kind of disappointed. I don't
When
have.
did-
I don't
wait,
see a
wait,
platter
wait.
of
When-
sample ammo in front of us.
When did we have bakers come in?
I'm trying to make a joke and you're ruining it, Gary.
I just thought I missed something.
Thanks for
Now he
ruining
wants
it.
chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
I'm looking for that platter of sample ammo that you bring
So
to the show.
what's your website so people can...
It's rtdarms.com. It's not been updated in a while because we've been
Busy.
kind of
A
busy
little
with
bit
our hair
busy.
on fire.
Yeah.
Busy with other things, huh?
Yeah, because the reason I wanted you to come on is because I was in the shop the other day, and I was lamenting the rarity of ammo and everything basically, and you were telling me that the lack of ammo isn't just the supply is down because of the lack of copper and everything else, which I didn't know about.
Yeah, well, most manufacturers have gone to a lean manufacturing. So when all of the demand started to hit, they only have what they expect to need on hand for raw materials. So first we were hit with COVID, back in late March, early April, and that's when the run started. When you couldn't find toilet paper, you also couldn't find 9mm.
Right.
I don't know if people are wrapping their 9mm in the toilet paper or not, or just
Yeah,
defending it. But it caused a chain of events. And the manufacturers, they depend on their raw materials, lead, copper to make their brass. Mm. And we've had a shortage of both lead and copper production since COVID started. It started to taper out a little bit. They weren't really catching up, but it wasn't as impossible as it is today. And then we got all the civil unrest that started happening. Once the riots started happening, gun sales, just boomed. I've never been out of guns in my shop before, and we went several times with nothing in the case.
Wow.
I have never run out of 5.56. We manufacture 5.56 rifles. It's what we do. We always have tonnage on hands, and it was 2 months ago we were out.
Out of
5.56 ammo, 223
and
ammo.
Yeah.
We had none. Wow. And now we're getting it, but we're not getting it through our normal sources. So we're getting it through secondary sources who are buying it up and selling it at a premium. We're not getting it at the premiums you see online right now. I seen 9mm today at $64 a box.
Yikes.
For a brand ammo that if you walked into my shop prior to March, you could have probably bought for $11.
Right.
We have ammo in stock because we've been investing a lot and overspending on it. But then you got that weird teetering. You don't want to get caught, with half of your capital invested in overpriced ammo, but we don't see the prices going to be coming down. We see the availability getting worse, and the manufacturers of the ammunition are basing it mostly on lack of raw material to manufacture. And we're seeing that everywhere, not just in ammo, but components. Aluminum forgings for our guns. We've had a terrible time getting them. The forging house we buy them from doesn't even answer the phone now.
Now, they're not getting their raw materials, and what's preventing the raw materials? I mean, obviously, there's a run on buying the end products, the firearms and the ammo themselves. Why are the raw materials going south? Is it strictly because of COVID, or is it because of demand, or is it something else?
It's lack of U.S. production of it. I mean, the U.S. has no more lead smelting plants. All our lead was coming from China. We know where we're at with that. Most of the copper production comes out of South America and the Chile region. They were their mines were shut down twice due to COVID. They came back online with very diminished capacity because they had a lot of people out sick. The workers were overworked and refused to work. I mean, so we've gone through at least 3 periods with no copper production. Without copper, you can't make brass.
Right.
You know, and you have
We all
brass and
set for
copper.
tin, though.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all set for tin.
Well, no, you need copper for tin too.
Right, but I'm saying isn't brass tin and copper? Or am I
Is it?
wrong?
No, I thought it was steel and copper.
No,
make
there's
tin.
no steel and brass.
I couldn't tell you. I'm not a.
But anyway, yeah, it's just so weird. It's good though, because if Biden gets elected, then China will be flooding us with lead again.
Well, don't they in our children's toys?
Yeah, well, yeah, you get the lead paint, on the children's toys. So they could spare a little bit of the lead paint and use it to make
I
bullets.
had some
for
chicken
us.
wings the other night. Tasted like they had some lead in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it crunchy?
Yeah.
Lead shot?
Little,
Is that what you
little lead shot?
little aftertaste.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the company that makes our bolt carriers for our rifles. They told us they're running at about 10% because they can't get the raw materials for the grade steel they need.
Because that's pretty high grade steel.
Mm-hmm.
It's-
We just made our own receivers, and I mean, even our plater. He says he's not getting everything he needs, and they're 2 to 3 months back on hard coating.
Wow.
Type 3 hard coat. It all evolves around different materials that are becoming hard to get. We installed a hot tub at our house. We went to go get the solid core copper wire, and we couldn't find any. And then when we found it, it was about 3 to 4 times the cost we've ever paid for it.
Wow.
So it's going to affect everything. I mean, go try to buy some pressure treat lumber right now.
Oh, I know. They somebody said they thought that certain companies were just knew that they saw the shortage coming and bought out everything and have it stored up to sell at a premium.
Well, that'd be a good time to do it.
Right, you would think. Yeah.
I know guys that went and spent triple the money and put Trex down instead of regular pressure treat decking.
Yeah.
We're buying. I mean, we're carrying guns, ammo, and all kinds of stuff in brands we've never carried before, configurations we've never carried before. We can't order a gun right now. It's not like you call your distributor and you say, "What can you sell me today?"
Wow. So basically, it's whatever you can get. So you're not. Are you getting any Glocks, or are they all shut down? Or
Well, we're getting them sporadically. We're not getting necessarily the models we'd like. I know our stocking dealer order is behind schedule. We usually would have it by now, and we do not. I think we sold our last Glock 19 tonight. We have 2 Glocks left, and we're a shop that usually has 25 or 30, whether they're in the case or in the back and backup. We always have Glocks.
right?
I got 2.
You get 2. Which
I
ones?
got 2. I got a 29 SF and a 20.
29 SF. That's the 10 millimeter.
Yes.
I love the 10
little stubby
millimeter.
one. I sold you one of those.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
You can't say that on air. Now they're going to come after it.
Oh, they are? No, but
Gary's
I
got a, Gary's got a 10 millimeter.
I was in the same boating accident with John Burt.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
You gotta hate
was
those
a-
old canoes.
That was a famous,
That was a very famous.
very famous
Why were we out
accident.
in the canoe with 5,000 pounds worth of firearms? I couldn't tell you.
Same reason I was, because you know, guys who go fishing, they go fish. They don't go fishing for the fish. They
Right.
go fishing because they drink beer or smoke pot. I don't do either, so I clean my guns when I'm out there.
Right. You got to do something.
I
Right.
donate to the homeless down the sidewalk there.
Right. Right. No, I was
That's
taking.
why it smells over there now.
Gotcha.
I was taking a couple of my grandson's friends out shooting, and I was just really careful. I let them shoot the 357 rifle and handgun, and for a teenager, that's pretty good. The SP 101,
Yeah, great. The Ruger, yeah.
and that's got a nice recoil. Definitely wakes little buzzards out. But it's just like I know I can't replace the ammo, so I'm just.
We got 38 Special in stock this week.
You
Just
do?
got it in.
Okay.
We even got 45 ACP.
Yeah. What was Josh Moore was looking for 45 long Colt.
He was looking for long Colt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that around in a while.
But that you can
That's
almost.
a cowboy round.
That is a cowboy round, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's a shortage of ammo. It looks. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if who's going to win the presidency. I hope it's not Biden. But if Biden wins, I posted online a list of things that Biden is intending to do. It was kind of coincidental that neither debate that the presidents actually had did they inadvertently bring up the Second Amendment issue. Well, it's kind of a coincidence.
Was it a coincidence, or is it they purposely stayed away from it?
I was being a little sarcastic. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they absolutely stayed away from it. So Biden has a whole list of plans once he takes office.
He's coming after my AR-14. Actually, he can have my AR-14.
Yes.
And we stopped making them, for him.
So one of the things that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is trying to do right now is, for people who don't know, they have AR-15 configured into a handgun. Okay, so it's a 12 like a 12-inch barrel and a
We go down to a 4-inch barrel.
4-inch.
We do one with
How
a
the heck does
4.5
the
inch
gas
barrel.
even work at a 4-inch barrel?
We get it to work. I can't.
Is-
I can't promise its accuracy. If you want something, I mean, typically we prefer to do it in a 7.5-inch barrel,
Right.
but we do make it with a 5-inch and a 4.5-inch small, personal defense weapon. We also do it in handgun rounds, 9, 45, and 10 millimeter,
Right.
and we do those with 4-inch barrels.
Right.
Makes a nice little compact.
But go ahead.
What you were going to say was the ATF is reclassifying them as opposed to being pistols. They're trying to reclassify them as short-barreled rifles and bring them under the NFR, right? Is it NFR?
Yes, and NFA.
NFA.
Yes
yeah.
and no. I mean, I think I can only give you this as a personal opinion. I think they're doing a low-hanging fruit test run for the Biden administration. Okay? Because they want to see what kind of blowback they're going to get. Now, the only company that's received notification, received it out of the Boston ATF office, didn't get it from West Virginia. Okay? So it didn't.
What's the significance of that? Because I don't know enough about the ATF to know why that's
Okay,
relevant.
so the ATF's headquarters are
Yeah.
down in West Virginia.
All right.
Then you have your more local offices, like your FBI has a New England office. The main New England office is Boston. Now, ATF has offices here right in Manchester.
Right. Is it
They used to
Manchester
be
or
in Bedford. No, they were in Bedford. Now they're in Manchester. They were, believe it or not, they were in the Bedford Police Department.
Right there at the
And
police
right
station.
across from there is the federal building where the FBI is. You would almost think they'd
Right.
all shack up together, put all the alphabet together. But they don't. Actually, we get along really good with the ATF agents in this area, and they have a direct liaison in the Manchester Police Department. They're usually more than helpful. The consensus is they picked on a company called Q. Q is based out of Portsmouth. It's owned by a gentleman named Kevin Brittingham, who was the founder of Advanced Armament Corp. Down in Georgia. And now he's up here. And he makes a model called the Honey Badger, which is very similar to one, a couple you see on our wall. And there's not really anything different from the classification and the letters, but there's nothing definitive in the law about them. There's just these like letters. It's like a car manufacturer not recalling something but putting out a service bulletin.
Right.
So there's, if you go by the hardcore rules, qualifies as a handgun because of its overall length and everything else. Doesn't qualify as a rifle. And they brought up these braces before, and they've made rulings on them. So now
multiple times on the braces.
Times.
Right.
Well, could you hold it to your shoulder? Well, inadvertently, and all this other thing. So they're saying that the brace on that one was not approved by the ATF. The brace on their weapon is the same as all the number one manufacturer of the braces is a company called SB Tactical. And they've had the approval on the brace design. The only thing that's different is they have proprietary flat sides where it moves in and out on the receiver like an HK.
Right.
But that makes no difference to the brace, and it makes no difference to the function of the brace. So therefore, it's the same brace, it just has a different mounting device, which the mounting device has never been called into question before. Most people in my circles believe that the ATF picked on them because they want to set a precedent. And they're thinking a smaller company is not going to have the resources to fight back like a Smith & Wesson or a Colt or somebody of that stature.
Well, SIG has weapons with a brace on them, too.
Exactly.
So they didn't pick on SIG.
They didn't pick on SIG.
Right.
They picked on a small guy. I mean, he's bigger than I am. I mean, he's a big silencer manufacturer. Q makes, several different platform rifles, very nice rifles. But, they're in the small category.
Right.
It'd be like coming after me. I mean, well, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to spend 2 years worth of sales on a lawyer. I'm probably the retainer for a lawyer to go after, some bullies with, a bunch of letters in their acronym. But most people think that they're trying to set a precedent, and they're looking for low-hanging fruit to do that, so that when Biden comes around, if he wants to make these tax stamps or confiscate, because you got to remember, there's millions of these out there in the public's hands.
Yep. So
what do you do?
To catch the viewer up, I think. So the AR-15, you've seen them on TV and everything else. So what we're talking about is an AR-15 with a shorter barrel. The standard barrel is 16 inches.
16 inches is
of a regular AR-15. So one that I used to have before the tragic boating accident was 12 inches, and it can't have a stock on it like if you picture a regular rifle, it cannot have a stock on it because then it would be a short-barreled rifle, which you need a $200 tax stamp to own.
Which isn't even terrible. I mean, I paid the $200. It's the year wait to get it to come back to you.
So anyway, quite a few years ago, somebody made an arm brace so you could basically have the handgun, because it is heavy, and it clamped to your forearm so that you can actually support the thing while you're shooting. And so they went back and forth on whether that was a short-barreled rifle or just a pistol with an arm brace. And the BATF settled quite a few years ago on that it's an arm brace unless you put it up against your shoulder deliberately, in which case then it's a short-barrel rifle. So it's semantics. But now they're saying that the, Honey Badger
from Q,
because the weight of the gun is too forward heavy and takes extended magazines, they don't believe it's necessarily
They
Am I wrong, or is
they
this-
haven't really come out and said that because they haven't really given a legitimate reason why they believe this is different.
Okay.
But in the background, they're trying to put it on an import ban list, so nothing like that can be, so because they're claiming it has no sporting purposes. The original braces of that style were developed by somebody through Sig Sauer. It was called the Sig brace, and it was actually made for a handicapped person,
Right.
so that he can enjoy shooting and normalize his life. And that was the argument for the original ones. And then it's gone through a couple of years of battles, but it's been pretty quiet. Now they come up with this, and most people think this is a test run to see what kind of backlash they're going to get.
But simply removing the brace, this is where we get into semantics with these things. If I remove the brace,
Then you're back
is
to
it
a
no
pistol.
longer a short-barreled rifle?
Right.
And so the question is this brace, which is just, it's either a hunk of metal or a hunk of plastic, is this brace, do you have to pay $200 tax stamp just to get this brace? Right? Because the brace by
Or they
itself
may
is
just
nothing.
outlaw it. I mean,
Right.
President Trump made a very, very, very bad mistake when he executive ordered banned the bump stock.
Right.
Because he set a precedent.
It's not a gun, it's just a hunk of metal.
Right.
Right? You
So it
remove
didn't
from
outlaw a gun that it was installed on. It just was outlawed of installing it on a gun.
Right. The gun still exists.
This gun still exists.
If anybody were to turn in a bump stock, and I'm not sure how many people actually
Very few,
did,
they said.
they
were on the
still
boat.
own the offensive piece
They
of
were on John
material,
Burt's boat.
right? They still own the offensive gun that liberals hate, right? That's
where it comes down to. That's why we're willing to paint one pink for you,
That's very nice. That's very, very open-minded.
We have a $2,500 P90 in the shop right now, brand new. And we're painting it in pearlescent pink. And across the top, we're laser engraving it Barbie's Blaster. And when I asked why, the response I got was because if I ever have to use it in self-defense, and some liberal has me in court trying to sue me, and the state police officer has to hold it over the head and claim that this is the evil weapon that did it, she goes, that's why I'm doing it. I said, that's a very valid reason.
That is a very valid reason.
we want that prosecutor to, yeah.
So once
So
one,
what else is on the list?
well, once they if the BATF makes those quote unquote the arm brace illegal, so you have to turn them in like you're supposed to do with the bump stocks,
You had an option. You could turn it in or destroy it.
right?
But they never gave you guidelines for destroying it.
Did they send a mailer out to everybody who owned one, and
How would they know whoever?
Here,
I don't
Sir,
know, because they weren't
here,
illegal
send this-
before. Now you made them illegal. That they should have bought them
well, I
back
guess
from
that's the whole
people.
point. You don't know who still has them,
No.
and if they start outlawing other accessories to these firearms, there's only one way to enforce that law, and that's door to door.
Guys with blue helmets.
330 million gun-owning
helmet.
Americans.
People disagree with the new 4473 that we have to start using as of November 1st.
What is? Well, I didn't know about that. Go for it.
So, used to be you fill out your 4473, your personal
They may not
information.
know what a 4470 any is.
4473 is the required federal form that you have to fill out to initiate a background check to be able to purchase a firearm.
Okay.
Oh, unless you're at a gun show, because there's a loophole.
Oh, there's a
I heard,
loophole,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's sarcasm. There's no such thing as a gun show loophole. It's a myth.
Well, there's not, because what they count as the loophole, they say people can go in there and sell their guns. Technically, yes, but legally, not 100%, because like in New Hampshire, the law says we can privately sell a firearm to one another as long as they're known to us
Right.
and they're known to be able to lawfully own a firearm. So somebody you meet on Craigslist obviously isn't somebody you know.
If you
Right.
participate in that sale, you are violating the law.
Exactly. So we already have a law in place that really stomps the heck out of that. Now, I've seen guys in gun shows with little flags on their rifle, and most of the time they'll claim they're looking for a dealer that's interested in it, or a trade, or something else. Whether I lead to believe that or not, but it's still the law.
But it's also different because
I'm not supposed to drink and drive, but people do it all the time.
Right.
yeah, it's also different because it's a rifle versus a handgun. The handgun laws are stricter in New Hampshire. But so basically,
But for private sale, they're the same.
okay, but basically, like right now, I can sell Josh a handgun to replace all the ones he lost on
On
I
the
had
boating
one,
trip, yeah.
because we all lost it at that boating accident.
Right,
if I
but
had
it's-
one.
But you, again, the law
But
is very
I can't
specific.
sell
You
it.
have to know me and know that I'm of good character.
Good
Right.
character and not a felon, or somebody who would be prevented, because it's not just felonies that take away your right to own a gun. There's quite a few misdemeanors. We have a customer who had a disturbing the peace with his girlfriend in a hallway of an apartment building over taking the trash to the dumpster.
Any domestic,
And the
items
officer
qualify.
marked it as domestic because a neighbor called about the noise complaint. So he got disturbing the peace. There was no hands thrown. They probably got it on that night. And yet he can't own a gun. We had another customer. He got denied when he found out because 15 years ago in the state of Connecticut, when he was going to college, he got banged for a over 80-mile-an-hour speeding ticket that he pled out. It was a court appearance because in Connecticut it's a felony. So so he can't own a gun because he drives a car too fast.
That is so insane. Yep.
so back to the form.
So the 4473 changed. And the new version, when they put the beta out there and we're asking, the gun industry's opinions on it, most of us came against it. So it used to be you'd fill out your personal information at the top of the form, and then it was a questionnaire underneath that, asking you questions. Are you the purchaser of the firearm? Have you been dishonorably discharged? Are you a illegal user of marijuana? All these, are you a felon? Are you an illegal alien? Are you, and a fugitive is actually one of the questions too. And then when you went to the second page, you had to sign and verify everything from the first page.
We have a call coming in. Sorry.
And then we would do the gun would be on the third page. Now the gun's on the first page with your personal information.
Okay, go.
Missed it.
Missed it?
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's
Okay,
okay.
call back whoever it was, sir. So what's the new one is what? You said, what did he say?
Are they?
On hold.
They're
Oh.
on hold. I don't see.
Just press buttons until something
Like
happens.
you normally would.
Hello? Hello, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades.
Yes, I'd like to ask your guest, can you still own a gun if you have a misdemeanor simple assault?
The misdemeanor clause that it says on there says you can have any misdemeanor as long as it wasn't relative to domestic violence and it couldn't put you in jail. You couldn't have been sentenced for more than a year.
A year. Yep.
Well, what happens if a person, it was going to be a year sentence, but they only gave him 12 days?
Doesn't matter. If it could have, if the law said they could have given you a year, yes, that can damage your chances of getting a firearm.
Yeah. If it's on the books as something that you theoretically could have served more than a year, whether you were sentenced to that full year.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's not what I said. I said it's not more than a year. The sentence could be a year.
Right.
But the guy didn't get a year, he got 12 days.
Yeah, exactly. But the sentence could have been a year, which means the on the books, the crime was listed as a crime that you could have been sentenced to more than a year. Whether you were sentenced to less than that is irrelevant. The crime itself is a felony or a misdemeanor of which you could have been convicted.
Okay, here's a good example. Okay, so you rob a bank, right?
No, wait.
Let me finish.
I don't want to get
Yeah, wait. So you rob a bank, right? You go to court, and you're a Democrat, so they only give you 2 weeks in probation. The fact of the matter is you could have got 10 years, so therefore you're a felon and you can't buy a gun.
Right. But one of the best ways to find out if you can.
No.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, this is the question to you. The question to him is a simple assault misdemeanor. A lawyer said that you can still. I talked with a lawyer about this, and the lawyer said you still can own a gun if it's a simple assault misdemeanor and it's not domestic violence. If it was domestic violence and it was a misdemeanor, you can't own a gun. But if it's a simple assault misdemeanor, because I had an argument with my buddy about this about a month ago, and I called earlier today on the show, the guy with the Constitution. Well, anyways, he said, the lawyer said that you can own a gun as long as it's not a misdemeanor domestic violence.
I'd have to tell you
you're
he's
saying
wrong.
Just the opposite.
There's an explanation of every question on the back of the 4473. And it's one of the few things the government makes actually pretty easy to understand. The nomenclature, and it's pretty easy. And when it comes to the misdemeanor, the domestic puts everything off the table. But it says right there that if the misdemeanor could have imprisoned you, could have carry a sentence of a year or longer, even if you got time served or probation or any other thing, it could disqualify you. I've seen,
Really?
yes. The easiest way to find out, because you never want to fill out a 4473 if you have the question, because whatever you answer that question as, that's a government document, and they'll get you for falsifying on a government document. I tell people this all the time. If you have a question, go to your local police station, pay the $10, and apply for a concealed carry permit. They're going to run the same background.
And it's only going to cost you $10 to find out.
It's going to cost you $10 to find out, and they're not asking you any questions. They're just running the background. So you're not testifying to any questions.
Let me ask you this question then. The question I asked you,
Mm-hmm.
has anybody been denied when they come in and sign up for a gun from you? Have you ever seen that happen, what you just explained to me?
They got denied for a misdemeanor? Yes.
For a misdemeanor what?
We've seen misdemeanor for several different things.
Okay,
Beyond,
but you're not explaining, you're not going into detail here.
Several things
But you're not going
beyond
into
domestic violence.
but
We did have somebody.
But you're not going.
Right. But we
Yeah,
got to. Hey, excuse me. We have to go on with a bunch of other questions. So try to get a pistol permit and see what happens.
But
Yeah, but I mean, he was just explaining something to me that I'd like to know.
we have
don't
had
know- I
somebody
don't-
been denied for simple assault.
You have had those people with simple assault
We've had a customer that
Denied.
I'm aware of. Yes,
denied.
denied.
Okay, so why did the lawyer say this then?
Because was it a firearms lawyer? I mean, not all lawyers are up on everything.
Yeah, he was a firearms lawyer.
I
Because as long
can't
as it's
tell you.
not a misdemeanor domestic violence. So when they ran what happened was, what I think what you're talking about is when they ran him, he had a simple assault misdemeanor, something else came up. Because that's what the lawyer said. Something else would have to come up in the background check, but legally, you can own a handgun or any kind of gun as long as it's not a misdemeanor domestic violence. If
All right.
it's
Hey,
domestic
we
violence,
gotta go. We gotta go. Thank you.
So another item there is that our caller's not completely understanding is that when you get the response back from the background check, you don't get all of the detail about every single crime, right? I mean, there's a privacy
We get a
issue.
red light or a green light,
Right.
and occasionally
So
a yellow light.
If the person behind the counter gets a deny, you have to tell them, you've been denied, right? And then that person says, well, it was this or that, and they can defend themselves all they want, but you got the deny, and the government does not give you all the details of why they were denied.
They don't give us any of the details. The person that we inform The only way we find out what it was about is if the person comes back and tells us.
Right, and that's a natural human trait. Well, that was so many years ago, and that was just a misdemeanor, and
It doesn't matter.
And it's not necessarily the full picture that they're giving you. So the bottom line is
Just
you
like
need
our
to speak
parents
to a
said,
lawyer.
that'll
If
be
you
on your
can't-
permanent record.
If you can't pass the background check for a concealed weapons permit at your local police station, don't try to buy a gun. End of story.
And that's the easiest test, because if you come into a gun store and you fill out the 4473 and you attest your name to it,
And you mark the wrong thing.
and you mark the wrong
And you
thing,
might not even know that you can't pass. Right? Because there's some
I'm
things that
pretty sure you should.
Most people should understand.
You should know
what
what
their
skeletons
their
are hanging
history
in your
is. Yeah.
closet.
Yeah, but sometimes you do so like what wasn't it you that just gave the example of the guy going 80,
Yeah,
right?
but
Oh,
he didn't realize that it was a felony.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yes.
You were a teenager. You did something stupid, and next thing you know, you go to buy a gun and go, oh, geez. So you falsified information on a federal application.
And in the eyes of the government, you tried to illegally ascertain a firearm.
So therefore, your advice to go get a pistol permit is
Go to your local
easily-
police, pay the $10. Most of them don't even charge you unless you get it. The reason being is they're not asking you any questions that can jam you
So
up.
you can't perjure yourself.
You're not perjuring yourself. You fill out a 4473. You're going down a checklist and you're answering specific questions. So not only did they change the format, so now all your personal information and the guns you purchased are, boom, page one right up front.
It didn't used to be that you sent that full set of information with the background check, did it?
Wait. So you're telling me? Wait. I think I'm just getting
Go for
lights
it.
finally dawning on Marblehead. So you're telling because before the only thing the government knew was that Gary Hopper was purchasing a firearm. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're telling me, if I understand.
No, you're not. You're going the wrong way.
Okay, never mind.
The government only knows you're buying a firearm, and if it's a long gun, a handgun, or an other.
Right.
Okay, that's it. But say I go out of business tomorrow, I have to turn all my records over to the ATF.
Right.
So some people think that the new 4473 would make it much easier for the ATF to start a database.
No, they would
Because
never do
everything that they need to know about you and what guns you own are on page one. Don't have to flip a page. That might be one reason. I mean, yesterday, we got a call from the ATF, first thing in the morning. They're doing a trace check. So guns that were purchased, they don't tell us why. It doesn't happen like you see it on TV. When you see Abby or whoever get her boss, oh, well, they have a registered handgun and blah, blah. It doesn't happen like that. So being a manufacturer, if one of our guns ends up at a crime scene or, shows up in the wrong place or in the wrong hands, the first thing that the local police do is they contact the ATF and they run a check. So it starts with going to the manufacturer. So they call RTD and they say, we have your firearm, serial number, blah, blah, blah. And then we say, okay, we sold this on that date, maybe to a distributor, maybe to a local gun shop.
Or John Burt.
Maybe John Burt, right over the counter.
Guys are just... I'm sorry, John.
So, hey, I'd be happy to sell John Burt a gun. We've sold him parts of guns. So then they have to go and follow that up. So say I sold it to John's gun store. Okay. Now they're calling John's gun store. And they're saying, you received this gun on October 17th from RTD Manufacturing. Who'd you sell it to? And you got to pull the 4473, look it up, give them the information. They have a form. They ask you the information. So now they call John Jones, who bought the gun. And he says, well, I sold it to my cousin Peter. So then they call Peter. It's a long, dragged out process.
So how did the ATF get to you in the first place? Just with a serial number, right?
Because this,
but they didn't know who you sold it to. Only you knew.
only I know who I sold it to.
Right.
So one gun was a Ruger that was new, and one gun was a Savage that was new. They were both sold to the same person on the same day, 4 years ago or 3 years ago. So they call us because they called Ruger. First they called Ruger,
Right.
then they called Savage, then they called the distributor where we purchased it from, because that's who they purchased it. Actually, it was two separate distributors. Then it comes in, then the distributors say we sent that to RTD. Then they call us, and then we tell them where we legally transferred that gun to. So that's the only way. Now, people are also complaining in the last few years when the ATF comes in to do an audit. And yes, they audit us. Gun stores, gun manufacturers, anybody who sells guns is subject to an audit at any time without reasonable notice. So when they come in, there's a lot of us are computerized. Like, all our information is on computer. And yes, we can stick a floppy or a little memory stick thing in and download it, but we would never do that. We have the capability of doing it, and a lot of people do it, but we would never do that, because now we're handing all our records over to the government, which we're supposed to be protected from doing.
Right. I understand that a lot of the smaller gun shops, that's kind of a plus for going to a small gun store like yourself, or distributor like yourself, is that you're more likely to protect that information than, say, a large outdoor sporting goods store that
box
has
store,
national chain. They're completely
gonna give you whatever you
computerized,
want.
and they've given up everything to the ATF.
They're going to give you the videotapes from that day, show you the guy coming
Right.
in.
So,
Right, exactly. But there's been instances, we got asked it once ourselves. They wanted to they had a bunch of 4473s, just random checking. They want to take pictures of everything. Nope, do it here. Oh, we could be out of here faster. Doesn't matter. Then there's a record of it.
right.
Now, in my eyes, I'm mishandling my customers' information if I do that.
I know I was over Riley's, I don't know how many years ago, and he said,
Wasn't recently.
no, it wasn't recently, it was quite a few years ago, and I think it was Ralph told me that they only had to hold those records for a certain amount of years, so then they could purge them.
No.
No?
The ATF, when we call in your personal information to get your background check, they only retain that whole information and transaction for like a minute. We have to hold that 4473 for as long as we're in business.
Oh, really?
Yes, there is no expiration date on us holding it.
And that's the scary part.
Did that change?
The scary part is when you go out of business. This kind of scares me, and it should scare everybody across the country. If you were to go out of business, you are required to take that entire stack of 4473s, including serial numbers and locations of all of these firearms that you've sold,
That's
that have
correct.
passed through your fingers, and you have to turn that entire stack over to ATF. And now they are all effectively registered.
So any gun you ever bought at Riley's is sitting with the ATF.
Exactly. And so
Are they required to know which lake John Burke's boat flipped in?
and so this is if you play this whole thing out, and you get the right government head of government, the right Congress, right, to all agree on how they're going to handle the economy, and what do? They write policies. The ATF follows through on those policies. They write new laws. The ATF makes new policies. And what does it do? It squeezes out who? It squeezes out the small gun owners, the ones that were protecting my information. And as soon as they get squeezed out, for whatever reason, the economy, for shortage of materials because you can't get anything from your distributors, or COVID because you're not an essential business. right? If any
But we
one
were.
of, well, I understand that, but if they can write a policy that can put you out of business, then we just automatically registered every one of those firearms
But
to the
here's
federal
what
government.
people don't realize. The ATF is not, it is not a legislative body. It's
Well,
an
it's not,
enforcement.
but they still write their own policies based on those legislation, and those policies they have the effect of full legal
The effect
force
and force of law.
until somebody challenges it to the Supreme Court.
Exactly. But one thing that's happened is the ATF has had a terrible reputation for overexerting their power with a lot of different things. And just like this pistol brace thing, by the definitions of the law. I mean, we've never even heard of a crime committed with a short-barreled rifle.
Right.
You know, I would be the first one to argue to get rid of the NFA. You know why they had the NFA? The tax on the machine guns?
That was back in during Prohibition.
That was back during Prohibition because the gangsters all went out and bought very expensive BARs and Tommy guns. But the politicians were too stupid to know they were the only ones that could afford that $200 tax.
Right.
But John Q, right now, anybody who has a registered machine gun is usually pretty wealthy.
Right, you
Right.
have to be wealthy to actually own a machine gun,
Well-
or unless you bought it a long time
You
ago,
got,
like
you
I
got your
should have.
tax stamp, but then the firearm itself is so darn expensive. None of
Because
us.
they're extinct.
Right.
And as time, right now, the M16 lower, or a full automatic AR-15 lower, we're not talking the whole gun, we're talking the lower, can go as much as $25,000. $25,000. A full auto registered part of a HK MP5 could go as high as $40,000.
Wow.
So, because you can't, we make full automatics. We make machine guns. You come in, you always say, "Oh, why can't I buy one of those?" Because they say not for sale on them because they were built after 1986. Okay, so the only people we could sell them to are law enforcement, not police officers, but police departments and government entities. That's the only people we can sell them to. And they make you more friends at the range. Not these days, because I'm not taking one out with my ammo. have to refinance the house to spend an hour at the range.
I know. I that's because I bought 9mm and and AR-15s, and primarily because it was so cheap to shoot. It was like $2 a box for 223. It was $5 a box at 50 for 9mm.
22 is not even that cheap now.
Yeah.
We're I think $17 a box right now for some types of.
Really?
Oh,
Really?
we got match grade hollow point is all we can get.
Ouch.
22 always.
I got a box of 522 long
You
rifles.
sleep with it under your pillow.
It was free.
Really?
Yeah. I found it in my mother's storage unit. It had been sitting there for a year.
Well, I hate
I'm
to tell
rich
you,
now.
but when the boom was really hitting in April and May, we had people coming into the shop with these old boxes of ammo. I found this in my dad's closet when he passed away. Do you have a gun that'll fit it? And we were selling
Any cool ones? Any like
a lot of obscure
35
stuff.
Remington?
Little 32s, stuff
32s?
like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my favorite one is we had the young girl coming in, and I mean, we were wiped out on guns, we were wiped out on ammo, and she goes, "Sell me whatever you can sell me ammo for." And I had an 8-inch 44 Magnum. And she comes in, we call her every time we have 44 Magnum in stock, and she comes down and buys it because she loves shooting that.
Hand cannon, that's what that is.
Oh yeah, 8-inch barrel. I mean, you don't need to shoot it. You whack somebody in the head with it.
Well, the concussion will knock them out anyway, so, you know. Muzzle flash will be great.
Oh, we get people that take bad advice and they want stuff like that for home defense, and I was like, just like shooting a 12 gauge inside your house.
Yeah.
Right,
Not recommended. It's like setting a flashbang grenade off on yourself.
right.
Oh yeah, especially low light situation. You're blinded.
You're gonna be blind.
You better
You're
have
gonna be-
hit what you were aiming at.
You're going to be
'cause-
deaf.
You're definitely gonna be deaf.
So you're going to be standing there looking really dumb in your underwear and your black socks, all disorientated with the shotgun in your hand.
Oh gosh, we only covered half of what I wanted to cover.
Yeah, I started to pull up the list of wonderful
Yeah,
new regulations
if you
from
go to
the Biden
If
administration.
you go to rock paper hand grenades, I linked the Joe Biden's actual website onto rock paper hand grenades. The reason I did that is because if I came up with a list, people say, "Oh, that's some right-wing conspiracy." This is right off of what they plan to do on day one.
One of his major agendas, is to have Beto as the gun czar.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he'll
that's-
probably go to that
the-
vault at the ATF with all the 4473s and roll around naked.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
paper
not,
cuts on things he likes.
yeah.
I love when they don't understand what they're talking about, right? No one's ever accused a liberal of knowing what the hell they're talking about,
No.
right? Ban the manufacture and sale of assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Well, no one's ever actually defined assault weapon before.
Right.
Regulate possession of existing assault weapons under NFA. So that basically makes
We
felons
make
out of
low
millions.
sodium firearms.
Yeah.
So we don't have any assault.
Buy back assault weapons and high-capacity magazines already in our communities. So that's door-to-door forced.
Yeah, yeah.
And reduce stockpiling of weapons by restricting the number of firearms, not the type of firearm, but the number of firearms any individual can purchase per month to one.
That's
Require background checks for all gun sales, already exists. Close loopholes in the background check system.
all. Which is,
I mean,
also a
we're rolling our eyes at that one.
Yeah.
The word Obama is in this one. Reinstate Obama policy to keep guns out of hands of certain people unable to manage their affairs. So red
So
flag
liberals.
laws.
No, it's for senior
I
citizens and stuff
know
like
exactly what it's for.
that. Yeah.
Close the hate crime loophole. Oh, if you ever said the wrong word that offended the wrong snowflake, you can't own a gun.
Oh yeah, I did
They
that.
take
I
away
did
all
that.
mine on an hourly basis.
I know. I posted a joke on We Are Where News. Oh, you're homophobic. All right, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
no
care
one
who you
understands
sleep with.
humor.
Just
Yeah,
don't do
no.
it in front of me.
Yeah, please. But yeah, it's insane. It's
Well, there's another part of what their plan is. And I think they came up with it because they know that what they want to do is undoable. So, and they're not going to be able to do that by executive action. You know that.
Yeah,
But
because,
what
well, that-
they're swinging the bat at slower pitches now. So now what the scenario is to anything that's considered like the AR-14 and the AK-47 and any magazine over 10 rounds, they want to give you a separate tax stamp for all of that.
Oh yeah, $200 tax stamp
$200 tax stamp
per 30-round magazine for
per
your,
any magazine
223.
over 10 rounds.
right. So if you have a 15-round magazine Glock,
now, do they have? Can the BATF do that independently of
No.
the legislature, or do they have to go through? So if we don't hold on to the Senate, we're pretty much up the creek without a paddle.
Oh yeah.
we get 50 today. It's official
We get what? Who?
in the Senate.
Right.
50.
Without counting Georgia.
So we need one more.
Yeah, we need one more.
Yeah, because we can't rely on a
Well,
possible new vice president for calling a tie.
That's right.
No, that would be bad.
But, I think you're going to see the more, with the liberal agenda coming in, I think you're going to see the more middle-of-the-road Democrats like Manchin and stuff, step up and not play party
A
politics.
couple of them have started to
Say things outright.
things over
Yeah.
the last couple of days.
Like Manchin said he will not allow them to pack the court,
Yeah.
and he will not allow them to go for statehood for Washington, D.C.
Right.
Hey, we got to leave, but Tony will have to come have you in back some other time to go over some more, especially as we get into New Hampshire.
Give you a little
legislation.
speech therapy.
Give me speech therapy. Anyway,
Oh, Gary.
Josh, right? What?
Never mind.
Did I do something wrong again?
Yep, you
I
did.
did. Okay, good. Anyway, hey, we'll see you guys next week.